Welcome back to SnowRunner, guys, and today we're going to be having a look at the Mack Defense, which is the military variant of the Mack Granite civilian dump truck. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the driving, the customization, the functionality, and see what this thing is all about. So, first things first, we got to start it up and take it into the garage. But before we do that, let's just take a look around this thing. Now, for one, this truck looks right at home in the environment of SnowRunner. It looks 100% like it was meant to be here. And it also looks like there was a lot of work put into the actual creation of this mod itself. Now, before we drive it around or anything, I am going to start it up, but the first place we're going to take it is straight into the garage. So let's fire it up. Fires up really quick, actually. It's actually pretty peppy. I mean, for a truck this big, it's got some get up to it. All right, so let's go ahead and head straight into the customization. So starting off with the engine, we have the Mack MP7, the Mack MP8, and the Mack MP8 HE. Now, there's actually a lot of different options here. I did not expect there to be that many options. I mean, that right there shows me that there's even more effort that went into this mod than I thought, because I haven't dived into the customization myself at all yet. So let's go ahead and do the MP8 HE. And gearbox, we've got balanced, high range, and off-road. Let's start with the high range. Now, suspension, we have default suspension, high suspension, and aftermarket suspension, which is obviously, those are all designed for different types of driving characteristics and environmental requirements. So let's go with the aftermarket suspension. Now, we have a couple of different tire options. We have the 46-inch Michelin Super Singles, and we have the 46-inch Michelin Super Singles with studs. Now, obviously, the studs are going to be for your snow and ice environments, and what's interesting is they fall under the category of chained tires, so it basically does the same job, just with a different aesthetic look. So we're going to go with the standard Super Singles right now. And then winch-wise, we have basic winch, basic long, extended strong, and strong. So we're going to do extended strong. And spare wheel-wise, we're going to definitely do the spare wheel. Diff lock, we're going to throw the engageable diff lock on it. And now, this is where it gets really, really interesting, because I think this thing could be very, very useful for campaign gameplay, and I think it could be a really cool mod to introduce into your own campaign playthrough, especially if you want more modern American trucks. So, for example, you have the cargo attachment, the open back troop carrier, which is full of truck parts right now. We have the heavy-duty crane. We have the dump body, which is really, really cool. They say it says regular cargo capacity, which not quite sure what that means in regards to what we can do with it, but we also have saddle high and saddle low capability, and we have a service personnel carrier, which is really, really cool to see. I'm going to go with the dump body for now. And whoa, look at the back. That's an interesting attachment right there. I don't know what that's called. The actual, like, sort of attachment at the bottom of the dump bed. If somebody in the comments knows what that is, let me know in the comments, because I'm not actually sure off the top of my head what that is. Now, let's go ahead and go to the more visual customization. We have fender mirror and headlight options, and this just says street headlights with great range. So you can uninstall them if you want, but there's really no point in doing that. I am going to put on the fender mirrors just to see if they're functional, which I'm not sure whether or not they are. Now, we do have a heavy bumper and a light bumper. The heavy bumper looks really, really good. The heavy bumper actually is really intense looking. And then we also have the military grade rims, which is your only option when it comes to wheels. And colors are not available. Obviously, the only color that you get is this sort of military desert tan, but there's nothing wrong with that per se. But if you did want to change the color, unfortunately, that's not really an option for you. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and see how this thing does in a testing ground environment, and we'll also see how it does when loaded up. So, God, is it a good-looking truck. Let's fire it up. This thing is sick, dude. Oh. Now, I was warned, obviously, by the mod description that the interior is not done yet, so I won't really be showing that. I won't really be showcasing anything on the interior, but the mod developer did say that if there was enough support for the mod and enough of a desire from people to have a updated interior, then he would look into it. So, Obviously, you have fuel carrier trailer, flatbed trailer, a good standard assortment of trailers available for this thing. You could pull scout trailers with it too, which is very interesting. I don't know why you'd want to, but the option is there if you want it. Now, as far as cargo goes, let's see what you can do actually with this dump truck attachment. So you can do consumables, you can do special cargo, which is interesting because that is probably one of the safest ways to haul the special cargo, quote unquote, because there's very little chance of it flying out. I mean, it goes, the actual dump bed goes like halfway up the crate. Now, I don't know how you get them out, but metal beams, God, they're like completely and solely like all the way stuck down in there. So even the concrete slabs, you can see the concrete slabs really do put a little bit of a weight on the suspension though. So for now, let's go ahead and throw service spare parts in there and just see how it hauls. Now this is with everything off. This is just standard drive with all wheels off and diff lock off as well. And I gotta say, I mean, with the highway gearbox, we're rocking 9 gears in automatic mode. I mean, 9 gears is a lot. I mean, you're gonna be running some pretty decent speeds. Now, in order to see how it does in terms of a little bit of off-roading, let's see what happens if we throw it into the water with nothing on. No all-wheel drive, no diff lock, nothing at all. It still cruised right through. It didn't even really, like, give me any issues at all with spinning. That's really impressive, actually. Like, really, really impressive. I think, though, too, at the end of the day, it's what's going to really determine whether or not this thing is good, at least in that aspect, is going to be the mud and the hill climbs. So hill climbs are what we're going to test out now. Now let's see, with everything off, if we approach the hill from an angle, you start to see where it, wow, what? Okay, that made it a lot farther than I thought it was going to without, like, stopping. You know what I mean? So let's throw all-wheel drive on. This is no diff lock. Still in automatic mode. And by working the steering a little bit, we don't even need the diff lock to get up that hill with cargo in it. So if you're using this in campaign and you're on a budget and you can't actually, like, afford to put the diff lock on it for whatever reason, you don't have to. I mean, look what it just did. Now, I am going to slowly descend back down the hill here to test it out one more time with the diff lock enabled, because I want to see how much big of a, like, how much of a difference, or how big of a difference it actually gives it. So let's go ahead and repair and refuel. We'll go back and do the same hill now with diff lock engaged in low range. So all wheels and diff lock. Oh, wow, yeah, it's just, I mean, it's slow, but it is very deliberate. There's no spinning at all with the diff lock on, and I didn't think there would be. I think at the end of the day, I mean, you could use this truck in your career playthrough without diff lock if you wanted to. You would just have to be a little bit more, you would have to plan out your routes a little bit more in ahead of time, like, because that way you at least sort of make up for that disadvantage. God, even with rock grip, I mean, this is with the diff lock on, and look what it's doing. I mean, for a dump truck, that's insane. And it's got a good amount of flex, too. Now, let's put it back in automatic and subsequently turn the diff lock off. And let's put it through a little bit more of an extreme scenario in terms of hill descent and see how it responds. Because I want to see how this thing does in terms of controlling its center of gravity. This will be an interesting one to test it on. So if you were just to throw it at an edge. Okay, it actually controls itself really, really well. And it didn't even pick up any damage from that. Now, I'm sure that is in part due to the fact that we have the lift kit on it, but let's throw it in high now and hit the mud. This is all wheels on, diff lock off, running through the mud. And, dude, oh my God, it kills it. Wow, it kills it. Holy smokes. That is amazing. That is genuinely impressive. That is, wow. I'm blown away by that. I am genuinely blown away by that. I mean, sure, it's probably due in part to the fact that this thing has a lot of different points of contact with the ground. I mean, heck, we're running like 8-wheel drive. What's weird about this is like technically 2, 4, 6, 8. Technically, it's an 8x8. So it doesn't look like one, and it doesn't feel like it would fall into the same general realm of 8x8s, but it still technically is an 8x8. So, oh, that started sinking it. But you put it back in first gear, and it just chugs along and goes. I mean, this is also, again, loaded down with cargo. So when putting this thing through testing, it really actually shines. Now, let's throw the diff lock on now in low range, and now you can really see where that diff lock comes into play and really actually shows what a true advantage it gives you in an environment like this where the mud is really soft and deep. When you're in the harder packed mud, I mean, heck, you could shift it up into third if you bump the clutch. It'll probably get itself up into fourth on its own. I mean, it's really and truly so capable. Now, I do want to put it through this flex test, sort of a mild, very, very mild frame twister, but it's a big truck, it's a big boy, so it should have a little bit of, I wouldn't say trouble, but it should definitely challenge it a little bit. Let's see what you've got there, bud. Now, I don't think I'm going to need the diff lock, but I do think diff lock would make it easier, but for the purposes of testing, I'm actually going to try running it through here just with the all-wheel drive and no diff lock, just to see how it reacts to it, you know? And so far, it's actually reacting pretty well. I mean, the fact that we have so many points of contact with the ground really does help. It helps a lot. Winding it through. There we go. Now, next test. Yes, this test is what always gets a bunch of these trucks. And I'm going to turn everything on for this. Low range. Let's go. What's nice about having all of these axles is that you have a much lower risk of being high-centered. Now, obviously, there is that center section where you can potentially high-center if you get yourself into a really twisted-up situation, but through here, I mean, you're not actually, I'm not having to worry about it. And if it can do this without getting high-centered, it will be able to do most scenarios, if almost all scenarios that you would be able to put it through on a standard campaign map without having to worry about high-centering it. So far, through all of this testing, it really has proved that it's a really effective truck, and I don't think you'd have to worry about it in any of the scenarios that you would want to put it through, you know? And with the highway gearbox, it's pretty dang quick and high. I gotta say, it's quicker than I thought it was gonna be, but then you put it in automatic mode, and it starts to run up like 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th gear, 9th gear even. I mean, it takes a long time to get to 9th gear, but oh, come on. No! No! That did not go well. That was not at all in like a part of my plan. Come on, there it goes. There it goes, there it goes, there it goes. Oh, God. Y'all know where we're going. Y'all know exactly what test we're doing, too. We got to top it off with this one last test. And, you know, even though this test is not, you know, directly indicative of how it would behave in most, you know, campaign scenarios and most objective-based gameplay scenarios, we got to see how it takes the jump. We got to see how it takes the jump. I mean, if we don't see how it takes the jump, what kind of mod test would this be? All right, let's go. 8th gear. 8th gear. Come on. Boom. Holy crap. Repair. Thank you very much. Something happened here. The cap. Oh, God. Oh, God. I think his arms have been snapped. I think his arms have been very clearly snapped. His boots have gone through the floor, and there is a barrel that has pierced our radiator and our engine. So I think we're in a bit of a bad way at the moment, and I think that might be time to end this test. But if you guys enjoyed this video and enjoyed this mod, which I highly recommend checking out, then make sure you click the link in the description box below. It'll take you to the mod.io page where you can subscribe to the mod. And also, if you enjoyed this video and want to stay up to date on the latest in SnowRunner mods, then make sure you hit that subscribe button, click that like button if you enjoyed the video, let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.